the dogs couldn't perform. So that's what would determine it. So you would expect a very poor calf ratio after your first season because they were gone before you ever started. Okay, the mid-October 2007 calf ratio in the north part of the treatment area. So this was us flying really for some damage monitoring, but we were counting a lot of elk in the Heppner unit on the north side, and we decided we'd go ahead and try to figure out a calf ratio. So this is in mid-October of 2007. We're doing this work anyway, and the calf ratio was 40 calves per 100 cows. So this is the very next crop of calves after the first season of use. They haven't gone through a winter yet, but that's a very encouraging result, because I guarantee you before we started this, that calf ratio would have been around, say, 17 or 18 by mid-October. Okay, second year results. 20 mountain lions taken with dogs administratively, 2 taken with equipment. So that's 22 mountain lions taken total by admin removal, 9 mountain lions taken by hunters. Through all this process, even if we quit working for a year, the sport season remained open unless the zone closed. And so sport hunters could take it in addition to our target area target. That was not an inhibiting factor. We did not want to impact the sport season with our work. The Heppner target area calf ratio in March of 2008 was 30. So that's perfect. It essentially doubled in the space of a year. Ukiah unit calf ratio, which was the control for the work. So we go look at Ukiah to see what it would have been in Heppner, because the 2 units have been tracking perfectly before this, was 16. Third year results. 9 mountain lions taken with dogs, 2 mountain lions taken with traps. Now you notice how it's much lower. By then the density was low enough to where we were struggling to come across lions. Now there's a lot of habitat out there that we can't get into easily and work, and those served as, I guess, reserves for those mountain lions, but in some of the stuff we could get into, you can tell the density was lower. You just struggled finding them. They're still out there when we were done, but the density was quite a bit lower. So there was 11 taken by admin removal. 6 were taken by hunters as sport harvest. The elk calf ratio for Heppner that year was 29. It was an exceptionally snowy year, and some elk out of the Ukiah unit to the tune of about 700 rolled over into Heppner and were there during the count. The downside of that is they bring their really bad calf ratio with them, and it watered down the result. And there's the Ukiah calf ratio that they brought with them. It was 11 that year, which is the lowest calf ratio I've ever counted in my professional career. And like I say, you know, there's this large influx into the Heppner unit, and Ukiah had 11 calves per 100 cows. The Desolation, which contributed a few, had a number of 16 calves per 100 cows. And Northside, which is just to the south, had 22. And then the Ritter portion of the Heppner unit, which is almost sometimes treated like its own unit. It is a part of the Heppner unit, but it's separate, and it was separate in this case. We did not work in Ritter. It had a calf ratio of 12. So there was a lot of bad news surrounding the Heppner unit as far as calf ratios, and when those elk flooded into the Heppner, it really degraded the calf ratio, which probably contributed to the reason why the calf ratio only recorded as 29. But in the years since that time, we had a couple of years where the calf ratio was in the mid to upper 30s in Heppner, just post-removal finish. So it darn sure, like I say, it more than doubled. Okay, when we got done with Heppner, now we went over to the